India took 75 years to put $1 trillion of credit into the market. It cannot take another 75 years to put next $1 trillion. It needs to happen in 5 years. That's our goal, right? So, hence, India needs a highly scalable collections infrastructure. That is the goal that we want to chase. $1 billion a month in collections. So, there are probably 2 lakh plus collection agents in the country who are doing this job of collecting from people. That was my first ever experience when I walked into an agency. I was shocked to hear those words, and I'm like, they might be like abusing each other, but no, they were abusing the borrower who is a customer of a bank and an NBFC, right? That is the real problem. India has about $1 trillion worth retail credit disbursed into the market. Now, multiply the problem by $1 trillion.
Welcome back to Chasing Impact, and in this amazing episode, I have with me Ananth Shroff, founder of DPDzero. If you're here and if you haven't seen the first part of Founder's story, where he shared his really inspirational and amazing journey along with some quick fun tips for all the aspiring entrepreneurs out there, please check it out. It should be linked somewhere in the corner, just figure it out, and we'll be here waiting for you. Now that you're back, I think we are now going to dive into a segment called Dhandhe Ki Baat. This is essentially where we'll explore the collections landscape of India. What are the real problems that the lenders are facing? How do they kind of try to optimize their portfolios, and how companies like DPDzero are essentially building to change the segment for good. So, having said that, Ananth, once again, thank you so much for doing this on a Saturday afternoon, and I really appreciate you, being quite candid and sharing your journey with us in the previous segment. Over to you. Would love to hear from you to begin with on what exactly does DPDzero do. While we understand the name also itself is pretty obvious, and we do understand it's in collections, but take us through, a quick like augmentation of what you do with a lender. How do you change things for them, and we take it from there.
Yeah. So I'll start with giving context on when this industry collections
Mm-hmm.
gets activated, right?
Yeah.
So every borrower, everyone takes a loan, right? You, me, and every common citizen of this country, we take a
Mm-hmm.
loan, right? And when you take a loan, you have a repayment plan, right? That
True.
you pay back smaller amounts called EMI across many months, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the repayment plan.
Right.
Now, most of the borrowers actually adhere to it, but a lot of them don't adhere to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't pay EMI on a particular time, the
Mm-hmm.
lender, which is a bank or an NBFC, has a cash flow problem, right?
Right.
Because you put out cash in the market,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a certain interest that you earn, that is the revenue. And
Mm-hmm.
when the money doesn't come back, you're not realizing your revenue, and you're not getting capital back into the system to disburse again into the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is a collections problem, right?
Right.
So how do you ensure that maximum borrowers pay on time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you ensure the ones who fail to pay on time, you are able to collect from them within the short duration of period, right? To ensure
Mm-hmm.
your cash flows are very healthy. Now that's a collections problem,
Right.
right? Now let's look at how much volume of debt is there in the market to understand the size of this, right?
True.
India has about $1 trillion worth
Mm-hmm.
retail credit disbursed into the market, right?
This is
That's the
already disbursed funds.
disbursed into the market, right?
Okay.
Now multiply the problem by $1 trillion,
Mm-hmm.
right? Close to about 200 million Indians borrow loans
Mm-hmm.
every single year, right?
Okay.
Average loan per borrower is
Mm-hmm.
about greater than two, right? Those are the number of loans that are available in the market,
Two
right?
loans per borrower is
Per
the best.
borrower,
Okay.
right? That is the number of loans that are there in the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what does the bank do in order to get their money back, right? The bank uses some channels, the digital channels, be it your SMS and IVRs and WhatsApp, to notify these borrowers and remind them to pay on time.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever does not pay, the bank works with thousands of agencies, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are collection agencies.
Right.
Think of it like, small companies between 50 to 200 people in size,
Mm-hmm.
spread across the country. uh, the bank works with these characters, collection agencies, two thousands of them, right? HDFC Bank, for example, works
Mm-hmm.
with 2,400 odd agencies in the country, right? A small fintech probably is working with 100, agencies, right? They allocate these borrowers who have
Mm-hmm.
not paid to these agencies and
Mm-hmm.
expect them to collect,
Got it.
right? So that is how the industry works, right? Now, these agencies have these so called collection agents
Mm-hmm.
who take the phone and call up the customer and ensure they make a payment,
Okay.
right? That's the standard journey, right? This is the landscape, right? So there are
Mm-hmm.
probably 2 lakh plus collection agents in the country
Right.
who are doing this job of collecting from people, etc., right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are two parts to this. One is the bank has a higher cost, right? Because there are
Right.
so many people actually doing this work. The cost of collection, which is the amount of money that's being spent to collect, is higher, right?
Okay.
And the second problem, which is actually a very important problem, is compliance. Mostly
Mm-hmm.
borrowers, no, they're not looked at in a very great way when they don't pay back money,
Right.
right? So hence the collection agents don't ask them very politely, right?
True.
They use very aggressive tactics
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes very abusive language. And when I say
Yes.
abusive, you can hear all the abuses, right? Like right from all the mothers and sisters and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first
Right.
ever experience when I walked into an agency. I was shocked
Oh my God.
to hear those words.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, they might be like abusing each other, but no, they were abusing the borrower who is a customer of a bank and an
Oh
NBFC,
my God.
right? That is the real problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the third problem is the scalability, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, because you have to add every human for 100 loans, now
Right.
think about India have being to scale, right? India still has about 10% credit penetration at max in the
Right.
formal credit sector, right?
Mm-hmm.
US is at 72. Now, if India has to double,
Mm-hmm.
look at the requirement of the manpower that's required who are trained enough to do this particular work.
Right.
That's the problems for all the financial institutions, right? Scale,
Mm-hmm.
compliance, and cost, right? And on the other side, there is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
There is a citizen like you and me
Yeah.
who is being harassed left, right, center, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the two sided coin, right? The problems on a two-sided coin. One is the bank, the other one is the borrower. Now that's the approach that we have taken at DPDzero, right? So
Mm-hmm.
can we build a collections stack, right, where every bank can just integrate?
Mm-hmm.
They push data, and DPDzero figures out how to do it in a less human way to deliver the same kind of efficiency with a better cost,
Mm-hmm.
but mainly with a lot of compliance, right? So
Makes
that's
sense.
how we sort of look at DPDzero. We're building India's best collections company that is a full stack AI powered collections platform for all banks and financial institutions to scale their credit business, right? So that is how we look at it. Um,
Perfect.
our
Mm-hmm.
major USP is that with 100% compliance, we are able to deliver the same efficiency the banks are seeing with operating with all the local agencies, right?
Got
So
it.
that is our real USP. And hence RBI should also like us.
Perfect. So, help me understand, right? When you're talking about completely doing it in a less in a way that involves lesser human intervention, and probably a bit more intelligent and empathetic way of doing it. Uh, Take us through a journey wherein you sign a contract with the bank. Bank gives you a lending book saying, "Bhai, itne NPA hone wale hai. These are just pass a DPD 30 or whatever is a benchmark that you pick up from." And how do you handle that? What all does it go through? What is the funnel that it goes through? And how much are you able to distill out of it? And what essentially kind of it circles back to?
So let's do this. Let's do this, right? So I'll give
Mhm.
you a journey on how an agency operates,
Yeah.
and I'll give you a journey on how DPDzero operates, right? So you can sort
Perfect.
of
Yeah.
picture how it works here very different, right?
Mhm.
Let's say there are 1,000 borrowers that did not pay a loan, right?
Mhm.
The bank allocates it to an agency through an Excel sheet,
Right.
right? And the agency then takes the Excel sheet
Mhm.
and they do a bunch of pivot
Mhm.
and allocate, say, 100 cases to 10 agents
Right.
on an Excel sheet, right?
Mhm.
Now, one Excel sheet has gotten broken into 10 Excel sheets, right?
Mhm.
Now, the 10 Excel sheets are with these, one agent has this Excel and a phone, right?
Mhm.
Or modern day agency, let's assume they have a dialer. A dialer is a CRM, right?
Right.
So they copy paste the number and they keep dialing.
Mhm.
Now there is information that's being generated, right? Which is the borrower saying why the borrower was not able to pay, right?
Mhm.
That information remains as a call recording in the dialer, right?
Right.
And probably discarded in the future, right?
Mhm.
What comes back is will they pay? Will they not pay?
It's a binary response. Yeah.
Binary, right?
Mhm.
And that is the intelligence that's going back to our banks, right? How many people are going to pay this month?
Got it.
And so on and so forth, so on and so forth, right? Now let's talk about DPDzero's journey, right? One, DPDzero is integrated through an API, right?
Right.
The data, we are not just getting 5, 6 borrower data points.
Mhm.
We get about 60 to 70 data points about the borrower, right? That completely helps us define the persona of this borrower, right? What was
Mhm.
his past repayment behavior to, what is the loan outstanding? How much has been the repayment behavior looked like? The repayment pattern, what was the principal to sanction ratio that was used in underwriting, right? Where did the borrower live when he was born? Where is the borrower currently? We have all the data points that we get, right? That helps us create personas of this borrower,
Mhm.
right? This is called as profile creation. That is the first step in our platform, right? The data hits and there are profiles that are being created. Once the profiles that are created, what we have is something called as a allocations model, right? This is a data model. You can think of it like a predictive analytics that determines
Mhm.
how this borrower needs to be treated,
Right.
right? Should the borrower be treated by a human or should the borrower be treated by a non-human based on past history that we DPD0 owns, right? Based on that profile.
Mhm.
In the non-human, the first approach is always going to be non-human. We have built our own AI collection agent, right?
Okay.
Now think of the normal collection agent, all the things that the normal collection agent does, but with compliance.
Mhm.
Now the AI is able to do it on a voice call and on chat,
Okay. So
right?
it could be a WhatsApp conversation or it could be a
WhatsApp
phone call.
conversation and a voice call, right? These are the two primary modes that we use,
Mhm.
along with other channels. There is something called as Google RCS. We
Right.
use emails. We use SMS. All of this is
Mhm.
happening through our AI collection agent, right?
Got it.
This is where we cure a lot of borrowers, right? So for a normal agency, every 100 borrowers is one additional human, but
Mhm.
for DPD0, it is currently already every 300 borrowers is a more human, right? So
Right.
that is the scale that we are sort of bringing in, right? And that's already today
3x more. Yeah.
where AI is about 15% of the overall pool that we manage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our aim is to get to about 60%, right?
Got it.
That is the tech that we are building, right? How
Mm-hmm.
do you identify borrowers better is one of the tech. That is the intelligence that we built,
Mm-hmm.
which is the proprietary that we have, right? We are able to identify borrowers and identify what kind of treatment that these borrowers need. That is our proprietary. The second one is the AI, which is
Mm-hmm.
the AI agent itself, right? Can it be as close to as a human being, right? So that is our second part. The third part is how our human agents are enabled, right?
Understood.
So now let's go back to that example. The
Mm-hmm.
agency Excel sheet, 100 rows and 5 data points, right?
Right.
Now our human agents log into DPDzero's calling CRM, right? We
Mm-hmm.
call this as the agent copilot, right?
Agent copilot. Got it.
Now, as soon as the agent logs in, that's where the magic happens, right? The agent does not have to decide. All decision making is happening through our copilot, right?
Understood.
Which borrower needs to be contacted,
Mm-hmm.
what time it needs to be contacted, all of that is handled by our copilot,
Okay.
right? The agent just have to talk, right? And as soon as the agent is connected with the borrower, there is live prompting. We call this as AI assist.
Okay.
AI will assist the agent
Mm-hmm.
on how to tackle with that persona of the borrower, right? We have many personas. We call them as there are intentional defaulters, there are bargaining defaulters, there are circumstantial defaulters,
Mm-hmm.
escapist defaulters, so on and so forth. We have a bunch of personas that we have identified, right?
Understood.
Now the AI assist is teaching the agent how to collect for that persona,
Mm-hmm.
right? And as soon as the conversation is done, our agents are not typing anything
Okay. It's already recorded and taken
because
into.
there is an AI actively listening into the call and
Mm-hmm.
summarizing what are the data points of that call, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
there is a model that's called as next best action, right? That is
Okay.
deciding what needs to happen on this borrower next.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, there is a AI QA agent that is analyzing this agent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what went right on the call, what did not go wrong, so that the agent can be trained on skill gap, right? The agent
Got it.
continuously becomes better.
Makes sense.
So
So
that's how
constant learning process for the agents as well, the human agents.
constant, right? Because we believe that humans are going to be required in this business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we are not afraid of adding 10,000 more people in the company, right? Because we are solving collections problem, right?
Makes sense.
India took 75 years to put $1 trillion of credit into the market. It cannot take another 75 years to put next $1 trillion. It needs
Right.
to happen in 5 years. That's our goal, right?
Makes sense.
So hence, India needs a highly scalable collections infrastructure where banks need to simply integrate and keep disbursing because they need to have that confidence that money will come back at all times. That is the goal that we want to chase. $1 billion a month in collections.
Amazing. Just to take a step back and break that down a bit, right? When you're talking about let's say the first AI first layer, wherein you get handed the portfolio book saying these are the people who we feel are not going to pay or are about to get into NPAs or DPDs. How do you kind of, so when essentially the first AI agent comes in and kind of works on the portfolio through the WhatsApp and the voice call conversations, purely the AI intervention part, right? What percentage of borrowers are you able to convert into paying customers or into someone who actually commits to pay before it goes to the human funnel?
So there is the borrower behavior changes drastically
Mm-hmm.
from early stage of delinquency to later stage of delinquency, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is the first variable, right? So in the earlier stage of delinquency, where the contactability percentage is very high, where the
Mm-hmm.
intent is very high, The AI agent is able to cure about 30 to 35% of the borrowers completely right now.
Okay. So
Right?
out of 100 high intent people who are circumstantial in
Yeah,
what is it, circumstantial non-payers,
yeah,
you are able to kind of get 30 to 35% of them to at least make some sort of a
yes,
payment.
right.
Makes sense.
But as and when it goes to the later,
Mm-hmm.
AI plays a different role, right? So
Mm-hmm.
today we are not looking at how an AI can close, but we are looking at how an AI can generate a lead to our
Right.
human agents, right? Because the intent is low, contactability is low. Now it's about identifying those borrowers who have the intent to pay and connect it with our human agents, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they're talking with high quality customers who have the intent to pay, and they have to be negotiated either with a settlement or a waiver or a foreclosure, etc. Where you can sort of get maximum money back into the system, right, and
Mm-hmm.
reduce the losses for the bank,
Yeah.
right? So that is how AI plays different roles in different delinquency stages.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Makes sense. No, I think that's interesting. I think figuring out where 100% AI intervention should be there
Yeah,
versus where humans should be enabled via AI and kind of breaking it down across the funnel really makes it more
yeah. And there's
interesting.
also another stage
Hmm.
where it's before the customer bounce, right?
Yeah.
There we are 100% AI, right?
Okay.
And for some of the banks, some of the NBFCs that we work on only on that particular segment, right, where
Hmm.
we call it as reducing the bounce percentage, right, which is
Hmm.
how many x, if 100 people are bouncing, can we bring it down to 50, right? We are able to reduce their bounce percentage by up to 30% by only AI.
Right.
So where we are 100% AI already, right? All the work is happening only through AI.
Amazing. So one thing that I want to understand from you is right, as you rightly said earlier, when you talk about collections in the Indian lending parlance or overall lending parlance, uh, outside the BFSI ecosystem, there are a lot of different views, right? For some people, collection means an agent will call you and start shouting at you and all of that. For some people, it's just entering your PIN and making that payment. So, as a practitioner of the collection industry, how would you define the ideal collection system or the ideal collection to be for the lenders in India, right? Like if you were to kind of explain it to someone who doesn't know what that is.
See, we call all our agents as advisors, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the name given because it's all about how you look at the system is what I feel, right? Why are they advisors, right? Because we feel that people needs counseling,
Mm-hmm.
right? Collection is not about paisa de do mera, right? That is, it's not
Yeah,
about collection. It will work, but it's not scalable, right? Will you?
true.
What are you going to build then? Abuse at scale, right? Like, or no? How do you harass the borrower at scale? No, right? Like,
Right,
no, that's not what is going to be 2050 or 2000, right?
true.
Right. So it has to be like, how do you solve the problem, right? So we believe in counseling,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we believe in right treatment. See, there are 2% borrowers who are bad,
Yeah,
terrible, right? We know in our own circle, right? Like there
mm-hmm.
are going to be out of 10 people, 9 are good, one is bad, right?
Yeah,
Now multiply that by India scale, right?
mm-hmm.
There are bad people, but because of that 1%, 99% should not be treated as bad. Like
True.
that's our primary factor that we consider to differentiate ourselves from the rest, right? The rest of the world thinks, oh, the customer did not pay, then bajao, right? Like that is the common mentality that they have, right? But we
Right.
are like, not everyone is bad, right? So you need to
Mm-hmm.
look at who's at 1% who's intentional, right? Intentional is, I will not pay you, do whatever you, right? What can you
Yeah.
do, right? That is where you have to go slightly heavy on what is the next approach, right? Can you take a legal action against them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you go to their doorstep, right, and figure out what is their exact problem? A lot of customers crack when you actually go to their doorstep because what they think is, oh, it was an app on my phone, I just pressed some buttons, took the loan, I uninstall the app now. That's it, right?
Yeah.
They don't know where I stay, right?
Hmm.
Is a lot of NTC behavior. NTC is new to credit
True.
customers. They
True.
behave like this, right?
Hmm.
And also people, I feel, born greater than 2000, their parents have not really taught them how to like have a relationship with credit, right? Unlike
Hmm.
parents of my era, right? A millennial, 1994 born, right?
True.
93 born. So my
Hmm.
parents always spoke to me about, don't take credit card, don't take loans, right? Like, and why?
In that era, credit was looked at something which is to be taken until, I mean, until unless it is absolutely necessary. That is only when you take it.
Yes. But today it is become, I want to go to Goa, I will take credit.
Yeah.
Right? So the consumption has increased. That's good.
Hmm.
But the awareness of the consequences also needs to increase.
True.
That is what we feel, right? A lot of people, we just increase the awareness. We only speak about the circumstantial are okay, right? So see, India, the amount of layoffs that are happening in the country, right, the amount of uncertainty that's there in the country, right? There is general tendency of circumstantial default, right?
Hmm.
But are there really circumstantial default is what needs to be validated, right?
Right.
They have to be given time, right?
True.
They are the ones to be given time. The ones who are trying to avoid as much as possible, right? We call them as escapist defaulters.
Hmm.
They have to be made aware of consequences, right? The one that are really intentional,
Hmm.
they should be treated in the right way. That's as per what RBI recommends, right? There
Makes
is,
sense.
you can visit the customer, you can take the customer to court, right? Because what they're doing is wrong, right? But a circumstantial defaulter should not receive a legal notice. That's what we believe, right? It's
Hmm.
just causing unnecessary panic in their home,
Yeah.
right? So hence we differentiate ourselves, and hence that is what it should look like in our country, that every borrower needs to be treated differently.
True.
It cannot be a cohort anymore, right? That era is gone, right? These are the cohorts of borrowers. No, it has to be treated at an individual level.
Makes sense. Perfect. No, I think that is actually critical, and given the fact that in a country like India, where credit is still underpenetrated even after so much digitization, I don't know the exact number, but it's probably more than 60% of people, probably even more than that, who are still underpenetrated in credit in terms of either they are not served at all or they have been underserved, right? So underserved and not at all, like
Not
new
at
to
all.
credit. So, and if we are going to scale that, and if stories like these keep surfacing in terms of the borrower behavior, the lender behavior with borrowers in terms of defaults and all of that, one is that scares the customers away. But even if you look at that as secondary, I think the more concerning part is the current mechanisms, as you said, right? The collection agencies is not scalable, and you don't want abuse at scale just by replicating that model and having more and more businesses do that. So
And
creating solutions that,
one
sorry.
more thing,
Mhm.
which is actually a very important one right now than before, right? See,
Mhm.
before, your number of borrowers who took a loan were only so low because
Yeah,
mostly people took loans from friends, family, etc. Right?
right.
Because going to a bank and asking for a loan was not looked upon very greatly,
Mhm.
right? But now that number has drastically changed, right?
True.
So before, you didn't have to worry about the brand presence, right? Or the importance of the brand. So you could
Mhm.
employ people like an agency, the collection agency, right, and send like goons
Mhm.
to visit your
Yeah,
doorstep, right? But now it is a brand reputation, right? Now Twitter is just one tweet away, right? Instagram is just one reel away,
yeah,
right? From destroying the brand reputation, right?
definitely.
Now brand reputation is business, right? So by doing this, that one case, right, it might not be 10 people will keep quiet, but that one person will go on social media and create ruckus, right?
That's
uh,
very detrimental for the brand.
that's it. Then your brand is screwed, right?
Yeah,
And the price that you're going to pay for it is going to be enormously high than the price that you will pay for compliance. That is how I want the banks and NBFCs to start looking at it,
makes
right?
sense.
And That is how it's going to be. India 2047, right? It
Hmm.
should not be like same, right? Then the country has made no progress.
True, true, true. Makes sense. Having said that, right, I think when we're talking about the still unaddressed customers in India in terms of credit, and as and when they get into credit, and as and when people who just get into 18 get into credit and learn the right credit behavior, some hard way and some the correct way. When you look at it that way, how do you see the lending landscape evolving in terms of collections? Uh, and how, the way that you are building it, right? If you look at, let's say, 30% of those consumers getting into credit, the unaddressed customers, 30% of the unaddressed customers getting into credit, how do you kind of see that entire piece evolving with a solution like yours in place? Like, how do you think that will impact the credit economy?
See, I'll just not talk about DPD0. I'll talk about
Hmm.
how the entire industry is going to change, right?
Yeah.
So if you go back in time, right, 2010, right,
Hmm.
how many logistics providers names can you think about, right?
Hmm.
DTDC,
Yeah. Blue
right?
Dart, probably.
Mostly it was India Post,
Yeah.
right? But think about it in 2020, right? And even then, right, 2010 had a lot of regional players. That's how logistics worked, right?
Yeah.
Small regional players spread across our 27 states back then, right? 27 states,
Hmm.
right? All were there regionally. But
True.
when you look at 2025, right? Now, because of the surge in volumes, also,
Hmm.
right? Because e-commerce happened, right? E-commerce said now you can, order online and I'll do fulfillment offline, right?
Right.
Someone had to take care of last mile, and
True.
that's when a lot of consolidation happened, right? Now you can think about four, five, six large players, right? Like
Hmm.
Sati, Delivery, Aramax, the Blue Dart, right? Everyone sort of came in, and now there are five, six large players who are like handling the volume, right?
Hmm.
So that's how even the collections is going to change, right? All the now the contrary here is that the regional logistics players are your regional collection agencies, right?
Hmm.
Now all of them are going to get consolidated, right? By
True.
three, four, five technology first, compliance driven collection partners who become the preferred last mile partners for the banks. And last mile in lending is collections,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
that's how the scale is going to happen, and that's how the entire collection landscape is going to change, not just from how the banks are working with these partners today, but to
Hmm.
also the borrowers who are being like going to be treated very very differently, right?
Makes
So
sense.
see, RBI is already doing that push, right? So RBI is bringing so much of regulation into collections that has not happened in the past, right?
Yeah.
They're forcing this as well. So I feel for players like us in the market, there's a good tailwind, right?
True.
From a regulatory point, and as well as the changing borrower behavior as well, right? Which is the smartphone penetration, right? So
Definitely.
brand reputation
Yeah.
was not a big thing. Now it is a big thing. Brand
Hmm.
reputation 20 years ago, they would go to their house and slap you, right? What will you do, right? You will go to the police and complain. The police will bust slap you again. Why did you not pay them?
Yeah.
But today they have social media, which is going to bring them justice,
Yeah.
right? Right. So that's how the collections landscape is definitely going to change.
Definitely. No, that change is inevitable, I think, as we see right now. And in terms of how we are looking at basically the technological interventions coming into play, and you yourself have you are using AI extensively. In the next 5 years, how do you see this entire collection piece being kind of transformed again by the newer technologies that you're seeing coming up, right?
See, what I feel is the rate of technology improvements
Mm-hmm.
has changed drastically, right?
True.
Pre 2022 to post 2022, right?
Definitely.
If there were 3 to 5 year cycles for new technology to be available. Now
Hmm.
the cycle has shrunk to less than 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Every 6 months, it's so hard to sort of catch up, right? So I'm not in a position to say how it's going to change,
Hmm.
but what we do internally is we have a dedicated R&D team who
Hmm.
is trying to constantly disrupt our model, right?
Oh, wow.
So, because see, there are two ways. Either you keep disrupting yourself, right?
Hmm.
Your own business model, so that you always stay relevant, or somebody else will come in the future and disrupt your business model, right? There are
True.
like
True.
only two ways that I see, right? And I choose the latter, that disrupt yourself
Definitely.
before somebody else will come and disrupt you, right? So it's very important to be on top of what's changing today in the world. The world
Hmm.
is changing a lot.
Yeah.
AI is changing every quarter, right? And if you're not able to like bring that change at the same rate into your ecosystem, you will be left behind, right? So that's how we see it. If anyone is not using AI in this world, like, your future has to be
They're
taught.
in for disruption. Perfect. No, I think Anand, I think that has been an amazing conversation, and thank you so much. It has really been insightful. I think this is probably one of the deepest dives I've had in the collection ecosystem to understand how it actually works, and I think audience is also going to really enjoy it. Thank you so much for your time, and really appreciate you doing this.
Thank you, Shreyas. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. I really enjoyed. I think mostly it was
Likewise.
very personal. So I think you're also a very, very great host to sort of
Thank you so
make
much.
me feel that way. So I had a awesome Saturday noon. So looking forward to staying in touch.
Likewise, likewise. Love to stay in touch. Thank
Yeah.
you so much once again.